Welcome to the Dome Dawg Podcast. I'm your host, Matt DeBritz. And today is a nephew edition of the Dome Dawg Podcast. Over the weekend, I brought 9 of my family members to the Carrier Dome to watch Syracuse pound Louisville 92-69. My brother drove up from Washington, D.C. He brought his 3 boys, his wife. I brought my wife, my kid, and 2 of my nephews met us there. They join me now on the Dome Dawg Podcast. Please welcome Luke DeBritz and John Paul Cashman. One of them goes to Syracuse, grad student, could be a cop or FBI agent one day, but I watch out for him. The other one is in Buffalo. He's kind of an engineer. He's kind of a business major, but they both like Syracuse. So just wanted to recap the weekend with them. Other guys may join another time, but I wanted to get their take on the weekend. John Paul, student at Syracuse, how was it for you?
It was a great weekend. Great weekend. I've been a student here since September, but still got to experience some new places that I haven't experienced in Syracuse yet. It was great watching the team destroy Louisville in the Dome. Got to eat a Dome Dawg while it was happening. I mean, great weekend, great family weekend. Nice to see everyone for sure.
Did you crush that video warehouse plate or what?
Yeah, absolutely destroyed.
What was on it?
Didn't even stand a chance. I think it was 2 pieces of chicken parm, bunch of spaghetti with sauce, piece of lasagna, 2 meatballs, 2 sausages, 2 pieces of garlic bread, 2 soups, Italian wedding soups, great soup choice. $40.
Yeah, the place right down the street from the school. You didn't even know it was there. You had to bring an old school townie back in. Hadn't been back to Syracuse in a long time, but some of the same places still there.
Sometimes you can't beat townie knowledge, It's just
no.
You gotta, yeah.
Luke, what was the best part for you?
Just seeing Syracuse with some confidence in their game and being able to just beat up on a team at home, like JP said. Gotta love the atmosphere of the Dome. I haven't been there since they played Virginia a couple of years ago, so love being back in those awesome seats we had. But yeah, just hanging out with everybody was awesome.
On my Instagram story, I kind of documented it. The first time I really did something like that, where I did a full Syracuse trip. It's still on there, and just kind of starting off, it was kind of white knuckling getting there because there was a massive snowstorm and ice, and I had to drive through the Berkshires. So I live in Connecticut to get there. So there were some trucks tipped over. There were some cars tipped over for sure. And, it's definitely nervous times, but we got there. My brother James was like, I'm definitely going. So you're going. He came from DC, really trucked from 5 o'clock and got there at midnight on Friday. It was just go, go, go. Saturday morning, we went to Rise and Shine. Epic breakfast place. You guys missed that on that. Sorry for that, but it was epic with massive portions and interesting combinations. Then we went to Fagan's for a little while. That's a Syracuse classic spot. What did you guys think of Fagan's?
It's a cool spot. It was fun. A lot of Syracuse basketball energy there. I felt like people before the game. It's pretty packed.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying, like the atmosphere was all fans. Everyone had their Syracuse merch on or shoulder to shoulder, so it was exciting. Especially after COVID and everything. It's like haven't been in a situation like that in a while, so it's fun.
That walk up to the Dome, though, even though it's short, it's pretty cold. And one thing I saw afterwards that I should have put one of you guys up to is going down the Krause Hill. I saw Otto was doing that during the day on Saturday. Thought it'd be pretty awesome if someone from the Dome Dawg crew could have done it, but another time, I guess. But man, I forgot how cold it gets up in upstate New York because it was freezing. But we got into the game. We were invited to a suite. I won't say whose suite it was, but it was pretty awesome to go into a suite and just kind of roll in there with 10 people. As a younger guy, like your guys' age, I always kind of dreamed of doing something like that. Or like, that's my crew, and like 10 people walk in. That's just our family, and we pretty much do that most places. But it's kind of
it was pretty sweet. Big thanks to the guy whose suite it was.
Hung out there for a couple refreshments before the game, and a lot of people in there. Then we moved to our seats. So it was section 125, which is pretty good seats. Not the really bad seats in the Dome, but it's just cool to be at the game and to see it again. I used to work for ESPN. I would go there for work, but when I'm going there for work, it's a lot different than I'm in the truck the whole day. This time being actually a fan, it's like the first time I've been there in probably 15 years, maybe 13, 12, somewhere around there, whatever it was, a long time when Johnny Flynn was on the team. So that's how long ago it was. But it was definitely different for me to just be there, watch the game. And actually it's pretty funny because the guy sitting in front of me went to school with me. So small world in Syracuse. hit a lot of different spots. But let's talk Turkey. Let's talk the team. The last 3 games, they look like a completely different team. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the Pitt loss ignited them to be just better in all aspects, but just in the last 3 games, Syracuse shooting 54% overall, 49% from 3, really moving the ball, passing. John Paul, you went to the Wake Forest game. You were texting me the whole time. What did you see in the last 3 games?
You said it. They're definitely looking like a different team. They're really turning around. They're not doing the classic die out in the second half that they were doing all earlier in the season, playing strong the whole game. I think they're doing real good ball movement. I think that's kind of been key. Like, they're really passing around, hitting the shots, taking shots that count. They're playing well. Still some stuff I think they can work on, but
that noise.
They absolutely destroyed Wake Forest and Louisville. So great. Both games were great to be at.
I feel like this is classic Syracuse fashion, is like making a run late in the season, showing some more prowess, going to possibly a couple wins in the ACC tournament. I know we were talking on Sunday after of their potential to get into the tournament. Not looking great, but I think they're definitely making a run for it because some of those guys on that team, Gerard, Buddy, Jimmy, they want to play together in their last couple of years with possibly Coach Boeheim. So
8 games left. They got to play Boston College on Tuesday. Should be a win, but depends what Syracuse team shows up. And they'll play Virginia Tech and they play Boston College again. So those 3 games I think are definitely winnable. Then they play Notre Dame on the road. I'm not saying this completely in order, but they play Notre Dame on the road, which is a tougher game. They play North Carolina and Miami down the stretch. And I think 6 out of 8 games are winnable. Playing Duke is not, I don't think, a winnable game, although it's in the Dome and people will be jacked up for that game. So possibly. Duke just lost tonight to Virginia on a last-second 3. That guy, Beekman, same guy hit the 3-pointer against Syracuse in the ACC tournament last year. So they're not completely invincible, but they're just more athletic than Syracuse, as we saw in the first matchup. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's they're 12-11. They've got people on my Facebook page that, my wife included, we talk about Boeheim quite a bit, saying like she's not liking his attitude, and I've heard other people say that too. As younger guys that don't know Boeheim from the start from finish like I do, what's your take on Boeheim, Luke?
I think Boeheim's obviously a good coach. His resume speaks for himself. He's up there with like Coach K and all the greats. But the thing is, I know we all hate, it's like he just will never change with his zone defense, and like always late game, you just need Syracuse to press to try to put a little pressure on the other team when they're down like 6 or 8 in the end of the games. And they just don't press. They wait so long. So I think Boeheim's just stuck in his ways a little bit. Yeah. And it's kind of making the team hurt right now. So
I listen to his radio show sometimes on Thursday nights, usually. And someone asked him that, and he said that this team would be worse if they played man-to-man. They just would. And he said, realistically, if I want a team to play man-to-man, they have to start playing it in the summer. That's a strange way to take it. It's like, you're telling me these guys can't play man-to-man. They've been playing basketball their whole lives. They can't play man-to-man. And their defense is not going to save them this year either. It's their offense. I said this, I don't know, right before the Florida State game, the first time when they played them in Tallahassee, I said, maybe they should just be more offensive. The old GaryVee thing, going offense. Loyola Marymount team back in the late 80s and 90s, early 90s, they just scored like crazy. They didn't play defense for anything. It's like, you watch the last couple of games, Syracuse really didn't play the greatest defense. Against Louisville, they did better. Wake Forest still shot well, but they're averaging 92 points a game pretty much in the last 3 games. It's like they're, the Wake Forest game, they're in control. NC State, they won by a few. They should just forget defense, just go on offense. What do you think, John Paul?
Their offense was looking strong in the last 2 games. I think they got to keep feeding Edwards in the post. When he was getting good passes down low, he was tearing it up. I think Gerard has to pass every possession. I think when he passes more, the team plays better. He's good at setting it up, but when pressure's on and he starts trying to take it in, it usually ends up not great. So keep feeding his players, keep feeding his corner 3-point shooters there. Their offense is looking great, but the defense is true. I don't know. That's kind of a weird comment to make about man-to-man. I think zone takes way more coordination than man-to-man. And they really, even against Louisville, it happened a few times. Like, they're absolutely crushing this team. They're still getting killed with the baseline lurker. Just guy just sits baseline, comes in and dunks it. I mean, they were getting dunked on and they're up by 20 points because there were some guys sitting baseline and they were losing track of them. And that's kind of the story of like this season, every game they just get killed on the baseline. But yeah, if they can keep that pressure offense going the way they did the last 3 games, they'll definitely look good. But even maybe man isn't the move, but maybe switching up the zone. I mean, it doesn't always have to be a 2-3 zone. There's other options, but yeah. I think the 2-3 zone is very classic Syracuse, and it's very identifiable as the Syracuse game, but maybe it's a little too readable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's tried a little different here and there, but it doesn't matter when you're shooting 54% from the field or 50% from 3, usually can win the game. In the last 3 games, Syracuse combined has been doing that. The other guys come on really in the last 3 games, which I've talked about throughout the whole season, is Cole Swider. I mean, listen to these numbers in the last 3 games. He's 19 to 27 field goals, 9 to 15 from 3. He's averaging 16.6 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, for you math students. 70% field goals, 60% from 3. That's because he only missed 2 in the last game, and all the shots he missed really were mostly last game. He only had 11 points in the last game. The 2 previous games, he had 19 and 18. And it's really because he's really playing with it himself. I think he's taking advantage of guys that are smaller than him, and he's got this play where he takes 1 or 2 dribbles. It's almost like an up and under move from the foul line, and it works almost every time for him. I always say, just do that for the first 3 or 4 drives and then shoot the 3. It seems to be working out for him. I like how he's playing within himself. And I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but Jimmy's not doing those one-handed crazy layups. He tries to go against better guys who just swat him in these games that they've won. And it opens up the plays for everybody else. It just does, when those guys kind of play within themselves. And you talk about moving the ball. I think what Gerard's done better is he's got the ball out of his hands, where he just passes the ball quicker in transition and outlet passes. He's got to do that. Even last game, 4 assists to 3 turnovers. It's got to be better than that. Against teams like this, okay, but if you got to pull the upset against Duke, no way. And it's, as I said, 8 games left. Really got to win 6 of those, and I'd say you'd have to make it to almost a semifinal or final. What Syracuse should want to avoid is not being the 8th or 9th seed. Then they would end up having to play probably Duke again in the quarterfinals, which is just too hard to overcome that quick. I don't know, but I mean, I'm more interested in your guys' takes, like on the weekend as like a family and fun. Like, what did we do? Like, we went to Dinosaur BBQ. I know there was a lot of razzing of one of my nephews, your cousin, about what he got. What did he get that you guys got so mad at him about, or just gave him such a hard time?
Well, so we were, everyone's ordering ribs, baked beans, whatever. And he ordered his side of applesauce. And the waitress actually said to him, "Oh, do you want chicken fingers too off the kids menu?" So she was giving him a hard time as well. And then he had to ask for a spoon, and she plopped it in his applesauce. So it was pretty funny.
I didn't know that she said that to him. Man, I couldn't hear barely anything in there. So you heard that. Were you sitting right next to him when she said that, or was she yelled at? Because that must have been dealing with something else.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting right across from him, but he actually just told me later, because it was so loud in there, I didn't even really hear what she said to him either. I think it was really only just him that heard it.
And then, he refused to eat it for about half the dinner because she didn't bring him a spoon. He wasn't willing to rough it with a fork. So he just sat there and just kept looking at her and kept hoping she'd bring him a spoon.
Yeah. I mean, we hit some landmark places, and Fagan's established in 1978. It's been there forever. I've been going to games my whole life there, pretty much, minus the time that I just said I missed. But when I was growing up, when I was kind of going to games a lot, that was a spot you could go there before, after. Even if there weren't games, it was a good lunch place. We went there. Dinosaur BBQ is where it started in Syracuse. For all the people that have been to the other ones. Were there other ones? There's one in Brooklyn. There's a couple other ones around. Troy. Yeah. Buffalo. I mean, that's the original one. That's the original one. It kind of started a lot of the revival in Syracuse back in Armory Square. And more people started to come hanging out more in Syracuse because of places like Dinosaur BBQ, where I didn't know this about the guy, but he was kind of a big time chef, and he decided to land in Syracuse. And that's how it kind of went off, where he had his own little truck and stuff like that. So, and definitely Syracuse crowd, everyone was in there wearing their orange again. And people are pretty friendly, especially when Syracuse wins.
Energy in there was awesome.
Yeah. just as we said, it's like our family's pretty big, and we're our extended family. We roll in there. It's like, hey, party at 10. They're like, you're gonna have to wait for a while. It's like, all right, fine. We're just like congregating in the bar. They're definitely feeling some pressure in there when we were standing in the corner, because these two guys, you can't tell right now because they're sitting down, but it's like 6'4" and 6'4", and I'm 6'1", and there's his other cousins are all around 6 foot, so it's like almost like a basketball team kind of standing there. They're probably like, what do these guys want? These aren't Syracuse dudes. Like, we're not going to give you guys any free wings if you what up. But just being back in Syracuse to me was a kind of a treat. It's just for us to all go there and do that, and I think it's gonna be a yearly tradition.
I would love for that to be a yearly tradition, especially being a student here. And
sure, we can get some more members of the fam involved too, a couple of years in the future. So just like the camping trip started small and then just kept growing. So
I don't know what a price is actually for our own suite. More and more people come, we're gonna have to get one, because getting a section will cost almost probably as much.
Just kind of get an Airbnb, get a big house for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one close enough to the Dome though. That's really gonna work for us. We can't like be hanging out in an old frat house. I'm a little too old for that. Let's see. I mean, I'm trying to think. It was just like one of my friends sent me a message because he saw the places I was going to. That looks like an 8,000 calorie day. I'm like, well, I got my workout in the morning, but it was just like the breakfast place, Rise and Shine. Yeah, and Luke, you missed out because you were coming in from town, and John Paul, you just didn't want to go. But next time you go visit him, you should go check it out, because it's got, the thing that Dom had, or whatever that thing he had was like almost like a calzone for breakfast. And then there's breakfast nachos. There was a bunch of stuff, and I put it on my Instagram story. It's kind of cool. They put my stuff onto their story. That sort of Dinosaur BBQ. Just getting going with the story stuff. But I think it's kind of interesting that they put us through on that, and I should have posted more, I guess, so they did more of that. But I picked up 3 wishes. I'm gonna give it to Vincent tomorrow, see if he likes it or not. I'll videotape that and see what kind of response.
So what was your favorite food item of the weekend? One singular item.
Yeah, I mean, I it's, I don't want to diss the other places, but my favorite part was going to Pavone's in Manlius. It's a childhood place I grew up going and getting pizza for. I would almost bet that our family paid for their oven, because we got pizza from there like every Friday. And it was just, it's a Manlius place. I don't know if it's still owned by a Manlius person, but people that we knew that in the community that actually owned it. They had a spot in Shopping Town and downtown, and then he decided to open one up in Manlius because he was from there, and that one stayed true. And I rolled through Manlius, went in front of my old house in Barbary Lane, and Christine was a little nervous of me taking a picture. It's like, that's kind of weird. It's not your house anymore. I'm like, what are they gonna? I'll just, if they come out, I'll just explain it. Like, this is where I grew up. I just want a quick snapshot. It wasn't the greatest picture, but I got the mailbox and I got in front of it. So it's just kind of funny to drive through town and see some of the places that have never changed. There's just, like, on the way from our house to Manlius, the town, there's this pit, and I don't even know what it was. It was some landfill pit, and it's still there. And I'm talking 30 years ago. It's just sitting there, and I'm like, what are they doing with this thing? And there's some of these old houses that like just are in the middle almost of a complex or something. They built around them and they never left. It's just funny. Every town has stuff like that. It was kind of fun to see those things again. Get a couple slices at Pavone's. Vincent liked it. Christine liked it. I liked Dinosaur BBQ. I liked Rise and Shine too. It was good because I've never been to Rise and Shine. I've been to Dinosaur BBQ many times, but being Rise and Shine, I thought was good. I got like a Mexican type omelet. We got breakfast nachos. I mean, there's places like that popping up now. These breakfast places. I saw someone pop up like a birthday celebration today on a Monday. So if you work alternate hours and you got a Monday off or something, it looks like a good place to hit. But that was for me. For me, that was fun, and just going and being in there in the Dome was that I gotta say, I was a little disappointed with my Dome Dawg. I took one bite into it.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it just felt.
Yeah. Let's hear about, what did you think about let's get the in-depth analysis of your Dome Dawg.
Well, I mean, you guys went to get it for me. I don't know if it's because it took you a while to get from the concession stand to to the seats, but I bit into that and it felt like almost uncooked, and that's not how it is because they're always pre-cooked, right? But either that or it wasn't like fried enough or something. I just bit into it. I'm like, it was just like hard in the middle, but I'm like, I got to eat it because it's a Dome Dawg. But I don't know. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah,
a little disappointed with that. I mean, could have been that singular stand. Could have just been the time that you went for it or not. But it's wasn't that far, right? I mean, you guys were just in the corridor right up top.
yeah. I mean, I think the Dome, they're not known for their food. Those were also like $9 hot dogs too, which is a crime. But
oh man,
what was that your first Dome Dawg, or have you experienced it before?
No,
I mean, I'm sure I've had a Dome Dawg in the past, but obviously it wasn't very memorable because I didn't remember it. And now this one really didn't impress me either. So
yeah, I mean, a better play if you really wanted to chew a good hot dog in Syracuse is Hyde's in Liverpool.
I will admit the Dome Dogs that I got during the Wake Forest game were significantly better than the Louisville Dome Dogs. So
that's interesting. I wonder why that is. Maybe someone at the Dome that works the Dome Dogs can fill us in on why they think that the Wake Forest Dome Dogs were better is because it was a night game and people were more in their game. It was too early for the 2:00 games and they just weren't like soaking as long. I don't know. Maybe someone can fill us in. Maybe they'll see this video and they'll tell us. But yeah, or it could have been you're just you were hungrier at that point of the day. I don't know. A lot of factors in there.
Lots of possible factors, yeah.
A lot of possible factors. But maybe the next time we'll go to Hyde's. Is Hyde's open in the wintertime though, John Paul, or is it only
year-round place? Yeah.
Oh, nice. They got these white hot dogs called Coonies. Some people call them Conies. I call them Coonies. Remember Syracuse had a guy named Trevor Cooney 2 years ago. Too bad that he didn't come into the NIL deals now where he could have capitalized on that deal. I would have been all over that for him. I went to Wegmans. Always an experience. I don't have a Wegmans in Connecticut, but Wegmans had a massive display of Buddy Boeheim, so he's getting his due in Wegmans for sure.
Yeah, Wegmans is an awesome store. We had those in Buffalo. It's definitely part of the Central New York, Western New York vibe.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun to do it. I mean, it felt like it was a little too short, because you guys kind of rolled in and rolled out, and it was a full day, so everyone was pretty tired at night. I was hoping to do this podcast on Saturday with everybody, but it was just too long of a day to get the good vibes out.
It was a long day, but it was great day. Great weekend all around. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. So we'll see what we can do. There's possibility, Christine was talking about, it's my wife, Christine, was talking about maybe going to the ACC tournament. I don't know. Maybe we could do something with that. It's hard to kind of predict that because you don't know where Syracuse will land. And then if it's a day session, is it a night session? But it's at Barclays in New York, Brooklyn, right back in your hood there, John Paul. So, you could give us the same type of tour there. Yeah. We can hit.
I would love to see a Syracuse game in the Barclays Center. It's a great venue.
Good Wi-Fi too. You know what? Because the first owner of the Nets, that was one of his first things. He said he put up these little towers all over the place. We gotta have pristine Wi-Fi because it's true. In arenas, a lot of arenas don't have good Wi-Fi, which is kind of crazy at this point, 2022, that places don't have good Wi-Fi. Do you think Syracuse will make the NCAA tournament?
I'm honestly pretty doubtful. If I had to bet against them, I'd probably say they're not going to make it. I just don't think. I mean, the ACC is not super powerful, but if they run into Duke early, like you said, I really don't think they're going to be able to make a run. So I'm not that confident. But we've seen Syracuse kind of pull a rabbit out of the hat before, so maybe. But I'm gonna have to lean towards no.
I think I'm gonna do a kind of a second there, maybe a little less doubtful, but still on the doubt side there. I mean, they have looked pretty great in the last 3 days. Like we said, I mean, the other thing, might play into the factor of when they play against Duke at the Dome in a few weeks here. Yeah. The last two games, Louisville game and the Wake Forest game, I believe set season records for attendance. The Dome was packed both days. So, maybe they were feeding off that energy a little bit. The crowd was loving it. I'm sure it's going to be like that for the Duke game. Maybe they'll get a little more energy and be able to squeak out a win there. But I mean, they've kind of had a rough start to the season, so we'll see. I would love to see it though. It would be real awesome to see if they made a run.
The attendance records are for this season only. They've packed it a lot more than that, but it's more for this year because of COVID and everything like that. It's good to see everyone at the Dome. It's third level is pretty open usually in the game, so you can get a seat still, probably slide down a little bit. it was kind of interesting how lax they really were about the tickets. It's kind of like, oh, here you go, and they're just like, all right, go through. I guess they're just happy to have people there again because people lost a lot by not going to the game. That's Syracuse games are lifeblood of the town, man. People plan their weekends, their nights, everything around it. Go to dinner, go out afterwards, just like we did. It's like if they lost that game, that would be kind of a downer. If we went to Dinosaur BBQ, people would be all depressed and sitting there and be like, oh man, they're bad. They're not great record wise, but it's just like the vibe's different when the team wins. The town likes it better, everyone likes it better, and it's fun to be there to go. To go. I recommend it to anybody that's never been to the game. I know you guys have been to the game before, but our other, your cousins, my other nephews, they didn't go, and it was a pretty cool experience for them. Hopefully I can get their take maybe another time, but it was the energy to just be there is there, but the game against Duke it'll be packed and it will be a good game, whether Syracuse wins or loses. It's more about if they face them in the ACC tournament, because they don't want to play them, in the quarterfinals. You want to see them maybe in the championship where it's all on the line. I would say, I kind of agree. I don't think they're going to make it. I just don't, it's been a tough year. And I said before the other team was a bubble team and they lost some games they shouldn't have. That being said, every time I kind of say something like that is when they turn it around. But, another question for you, we'll end on this for now. But if Syracuse makes the NCAA tournament with this team and they win a game in the NCAA tournament, do you think people will back off Jim Boeheim forever with this team?
Yeah, I think that would be a strong statement because, if you look at the team, first of all, half the team's related to him. And then you got, some decent guys, but as you've seen Syracuse teams in the past have way bigger stars on the team. So I think, I agree. If they pull a complete 180 and end up winning a game in the tournament, that'd be big for Coach Boeheim.
Yeah, definitely would be big. I think that maybe it would just shift what people are saying about him, and they're just going to turn to why wasn't it like this all season? Potential's there. Yeah. I don't think he'll ever. He's too high priority, too high of a coach to not catch heat. It's just it is what it is. I don't think it's ever going to shift off him. It may just change what they're talking about. But if they make a huge turnaround like this, my question would be, why didn't this happen 5-6 games ago?
Well, his answer would be to you is I needed time to develop the team. I think my take on Jim Boeheim is that I think he likes teams like this better. He may not say it publicly, but I think, since what he was supposed to leave the program in 2015 or 16, and then Mike Hopkins decided to leave. So then he got almost like a second life, to regain the wins that the NCAA took away from him. Now he's pretty close to 1,000 wins again. He already has him. That's BS that he doesn't have him, but he's about to do it again, right? The teams he's had since then are not been great. They've been good and they've had guys and then they make runs. I kind of think he likes it better this way, where he can build the team to get better at the end of the season, because in the past he's had great teams that are great in the beginning and then they flame out. If you remember 2013-14 season when they started the season off 25-0, actually they've lost to Boston College, and Boston College had a losing record, and it started a downward spiral for Syracuse at that point. I was actually at that game. I worked it, and it was horrible for me because it was like a frozen day and Syracuse lost, and it was their first loss in an undefeated season. And then they lost. So I think he likes it better this way. And I think if he takes this team and they make the NCAA tournament, it's going to be the ultimate, like, what now moment, I think, for people. And I know people argue about it, even on my Facebook page, myself included, but it's not just his accomplishments. I think annoys people sometimes. It's more his demeanor or what he said. Like after he said it to Edwards was incapable, that really kind of gave people some, step back of like, what the heck? What do you mean he's an incapable? And then just kind of the things he says sometimes in the press conference where people ask him a question, he gets kind of salty. I think after talking to some of the people I've talked to on my podcast, I think he's just hungry at that point and just wants to go. And that's why he's salty. And guess what?
Is a tough thing. So
yeah. And guess what, Luke? He doesn't like buff chick pizza. Doesn't like it.
Did he say that in an interview?
Yeah, he didn't say it in an interview, but I saw a clip of Buddy because Mario and Salvo's, the place was right next to the place we went to get bagels. I was going to go in there, but it wasn't open yet. But they give pizza to the guys after the game, and I guess Buddy was having a buffalo chicken one, and Jim Boeheim walked by. He's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Buffalo chicken." He's like, "No, I don't like that." And Buddy's like, "He's crazy. Buffalo chicken's the best." And then Gerard's like, "Yeah, I like the, with ones and meats because I'm Italian and stuff." It was kind of a funny clip, but I guess he doesn't like buff chick, so he just goes with cheese. If you listen to my last podcast, Adam Weitzman talked about how picky he is at some of the restaurants. So I can see he's not a buff chick guy. Some people are pizza traditionalists, man. They don't like that stuff on it. Sometimes I'm with you. I don't like going to the specialty pizza too much. Maybe one or two toppings. I don't know. I don't want like 10 things on there. That's not cool.
That's because Jim Boeheim's like 90 years old. Once you get up to that age, you can't really have complex flavors. But I mean, buffalo chicken pizza is a staple, I think.
John Paul, Nurchi's in Binghamton, do they have speedy pizza?
Yeah, and that's the best pizza they make for sure.
Speedy pizza.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a white sauce, like a white slice.
Yeah,
it's got like a garlic oil type of deal with some cheese. There's no red sauce on it, and there's chunks of speedy meat, and that's really good. That's great. Chicken bacon ranch from there is great. You got the classic pepperoni cheese,
That sounds like a whole like tournament that we should do. Like who has the best pizza? Like like Mario and Salvers versus Pavone's, and Pavone's versus Nurchi's, then Nurchi's versus like some other place. Like even I don't know if they can compete with Brooklyn, but
I mean, we could just put varsity in the losers bracket. We don't even have to compete.
Oh, the crushing varsity?
Yeah.
Why?
It's trash. It's just an institution. People just go because of what it is. It doesn't even compete with Pavone's. Not even close.
Whoa. John Paul,
wow. Strong statement.
Throwing down the gauntlet on that one. We didn't stop by varsity because we had already eaten, and at that point we didn't want that because we were going to Dinosaur BBQ. But it is what it is. I think it's good, but I kind of agree at some points it's more the spot and the story behind it. But I wouldn't say it's trash like someone just said. But yeah, I mean that sounds like a great game to play in Syracuse. I wonder if Dave Portnoy from Barstool is going to come up there and do some reviews. You should, because it's good pizza there. But all right, well, anything else?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the nephew edition of Dome Dawg Podcast. Great weekend, great memories for myself, my family, my son who's only 4, and he was loving life. He got a dome finger, he got a Dome Dawg, he got Twizzlers. He was up in the stands just enjoying it. It was fun to do that with him. It was also fun to be with my nephews and my sister-in-law, my brother, just to have a different group together and be at the game. So if you haven't been to a game up this season, I suggest it, or anytime. You get a ticket third level for $10 and move your way down, and doesn't have to break the bank. So get it going, go to a game. There's not that many left this season, but 8 games left in the season, not all home games, but opportunities are out there for Syracuse. I think Virginia Tech game's going to be tough. The Notre Dame game's going to be tough, both on the road. The Duke game at home, of course, will be tough. But I think they could win 6 out of 8 easily, and then they have to win a couple games in the ACC tournament to make the NCAA tournament. It's going to be very tough, and as we talked about, I didn't think it was possible just last week. I think it's more possible now, but I still think it's going to be really tough for them to make the NCAA tournament. Syracuse won 3 games in a row. They've done that all season. Now they're going for their 4th game in a row against Boston College tonight, 8 p.m. the ACC Network. Boston College, not a good team. It's not going to help Syracuse really win this game except for their confidence. As I said, 4 in a row. And they got to keep it going. Keep the offense going. Try some new things. If they're blowing them out, don't let them in the game. So looking forward to watching that. That's all I got for the Dome Dawg Podcast in this edition. Hope you enjoyed it. A little different guests than I've had in the last 2 weeks, where I've had former players and big businessmen. Now it's my nephews. That's just kind of how I roll sometimes. It's who I have and who can come on. And last couple of weeks, I hope you enjoyed those longer form interviews that I've had on, and still room for my nephews on my show, because why not? Before I go, I have one sponsor. The Dome Dawg Podcast is brought to you by Zalstone Jewelry. Live luxury lifestyle. Anyone who orders from now until the end of the month will receive 20% off the website price. Just mention Dome Dawg Podcast in the shipping instructions. That's Zalstone, zalstone.com. ZALSTONE. They're also on Instagram. I will put it in the show notes. Guys, get it for Valentine's Day, anniversary. Zalstone's got you covered.